Welcome to the Uncle Jim Effect podcast. I'm your host, Dennis DeLoach. This is episode number 58. Excited to be here with you. And this episode is entitled Becoming a Force Multiplier in Life. I love this concept. We're going to talk about what a force multiplier is. If you can become a force multiplier in life, if you can surround yourself with force multipliers in life, if you can learn more about how to become a force multiplier in life, you will be successful beyond your imagination. So let's get on with that. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time to listen and to invest your valuable time into this podcast. We are on Apple Podcast and Spotify Music. Please subscribe. Leave comments and share with your family and friends if this has any value to you. If not, then find something else to do that's more value because life is too short. So let's get going. Again, this is about how to become a force multiplier in life. I want to start first with a definition. I'm going to read it, then I'm going to talk to you about what it means to me. But it says a force multiplier is a factor or a tool, or it could be a person that dramatically increases the effectiveness, efficiency, or impact of a person or group or team or a business. So essentially, a force multiplier allows you to achieve greater results with the same amount of effort, resources, or manpower. So how is it that certain people, example, you take two coaches, and they both have professional teams or high school teams or college teams. And they make movies about a small town or a team, a bunch of misfits, where they had a coach and the underdog, extreme underdog, somehow comes through and wins. How does that happen? In my mind, this is just an example, but there are coaches who are force multipliers, which means when they get involved, 1 + 1 = 3 or 4. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So force multipliers, some of the examples that come to my mind, and again, I'm going to focus more on the sports realm, but we'll talk about a lot of different realms. But some of the ones that come to my mind are Bill Belichick, Nick Saban in the football world. Bill Belichick, obviously, I believe he's won 6 or 7 titles with the New England Patriots. I believe he was part of 2 others with other teams as an assistant coach. You know, how does one person in coaching do that to where he's putting in the same amount of time or probably similar to what every other coach is, and some of them never even have a winning season, and yet he's at the top of his game always over and over. Same with Nick Saban at the collegiate level. You've got people like John Wooden, who was one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time in the collegiate ranks. I believe he won 10 national championships. I believe 8, 9, or 10 of them in a row. Steve Jobs in the business world, what he did with Apple, to where literally, I'll bet now if you are to take inventory of how many Apple products you have in your home, it would scare you, whether it's an Apple Watch. We had the old iPods. You probably got an Apple laptop. You got an Apple phone. You've got an Apple computer. We have an iPad. I mean, my heavens, that's 5 or 6, 7 different things that most homes have multiple of. So, you know, that's a force multiplier. How did that happen? You got people like Nelson Mandela, who was in prison for decades, who came out as a prisoner and ended up changing a whole country. So, I mean, these people, Martin Luther King, same type of effect. How do these people, given the same 24 hours in a day that we have, and the same tools that you and I have, how do they come out and get 1 + 1 = 15 instead of 1 + 1 = 2? So I want to just talk a little bit about that. If we can understand this concept, if we can understand and set a goal to become a force multiplier, Again, we don't get to 1 + 1 is 15 like these people did, but we can get to 1 + 1 is 2 1/4, and then 1 + 1 is 2 1/2, and then 1 + 1 is 3. We can do that, and then how do we surround ourselves with people like that to get our mindset to be, I don't want to do what's just asked of me. I need to maximize my efforts so that when I put energy into something, we get more energy out than what is expected. So I came up with 10 ideas or areas in our life that we can do to improve or focus on that will make us get closer to becoming a force multiplier in life. And these are in no particular order, but I just want to talk a little bit about each one. So the first one is we have to have visionary thinking or 10x mindset. We cannot think like we normally do and think we're going to get different results. So to become a force multiplier, again, think of those names that I just mentioned. Those people have changed the world. And for us to think that we're going to increase our thought process and our position maybe 5, 10, 15, 20, 30% is ridiculous. We have got to get a 10x mindset to figure out how in the world do I expand my horizons to step back and really go have the guts to go after goals that I want, that scare me to death, that will allow me to be a force multiplier. To do that, we need to become a force multiplier, and we need to have force multipliers in our life along the way at strategic times to do that. Mentors, coaches, consultants, anybody and everybody that expands our mind, builds up our self-confidence, and allows us to have visions beyond what we think is possible. That's becoming a force multiplier. So that's first and foremost visionary thinking, or having a 10x mindset. The second one is a little different. It's empathy. So for us to become a force multiplier, we have to be empathetic to situations that we're in and with other people. And empathy, remember, means to have compassion for people in their position and understand where they're at. So some people we can't ask to do that. Maybe if we've been blessed in an area, we can then become empathetic, knowing that, okay, well, I can be a force multiplier in this area, but this person needs my help in that area, or this person I need their help in my area. And so empathy means that we're aware of people's struggles, we're aware of people's strengths and weaknesses, that we're aware of what's going on, and then we can then become better at doing that which we're talking about, which is become a force multiplier. So empathy in this concept is more about awareness of people and knowing that everyone's going through something, and to be empathetic with them, not to say, well, you can't help me, and discard them. So understand what's going around, understand this, what people are going through around you, and be empathetic to where they're at. The third one is we have to have integrity. To be a force multiplier, you can't waste time. You can't lie to people. You can't BS them. You can't really fake it until you make it. You have to have integrity to know, hey, I'm really good in this area. I'm not so good in this area. I need someone to help me, and turn it over to them so that I can truly increase my force so that I can become a force multiplier. But we have to have integrity and honest assessment of what my strengths are and what the strengths are of people. Now, maybe those people that are our partners or our current mentors and coaches aren't the ones that we are going to end up with. So we have to have the integrity to have difficult conversations to say, look, you got me to 1 + 1 is 2. You're not the one that's going to get me to 1 + 1 is 3. And that's okay. I just need to move on and do that. So the fourth one is kind of common sense, is resilience. We have to be resilient. And that basically means that we don't give up. When things come at us and 1 + 1 is 1.5, and we have trouble and stress and issues, we have to be resilient to not give up. When our goals are tough and we can't attain them, change what we're doing. Don't change the goal. So if we set a 10x goal to get a result and we're not getting it, It's not that the goal's too high. It's that we're not doing the right things and we don't have the right force multipliers in our life, and we're not on the right track, and we're not intentional enough, and we're not managing our time well enough. We don't have the right mentors and coaches. So we need to be more resilient. The fifth one is we've labeled it emotional intelligence, but basically it's you have to have a mindset and realize that things that we do in life, we can't rely on emotions to get motivated, and got to be positive speaking to do that. By emotional intelligence, I mean we need to have an internal dialogue that we go through a process every day that says, come heck or high water, I'm going to do these things, and I have to have intestinal fortitude and an internal dialogue that says that's what I do. Even when the times get tough, anybody can succeed when it's nice and sunny, but when it's raining and storming and snowing, that's when it becomes tough. So emotional intelligence, toughness, internal dialogue, all of those things are absolutely necessary to try to become a force multiplier in life. The sixth one is humility. We have to be humble enough to know I can never get there on my own. The saying basically says, if you want to go fast, do it yourself. If you want to go far, do it together or as a team. And so we have to be humble enough to ask for input on what our strengths and weaknesses are. We have to be humble enough to do self assessments that are honest. And even then, we still have blind spots. We have to be humble enough to bring those people in that we trust enough that will be brutally honest with us, not to offend us, but to say, look, if you truly want a 10x your goal, 6 out of 10 areas, you're doing phenomenal. But these 4 areas, you're not going to get anywhere. You need help in these 4. That's humility. And we also have to be humble enough to know that we need input and that our ways aren't always accurate and aren't always right. And we need to be coachable and we need to be humble. The seventh one is we've labeled being decisive or intentional. And so you can't be wishy-washy and be a force multiplier. These people, do you think Bill Belichick, John Wooden, Nick Saban were wishy-washy? Absolutely not. I mean, they knew every square inch of every one of their teams, processes, systems, practice. Their practices were to the minute. Everything, nothing was left to chance. So we have to be decisive. In business, Steve Jobs, I've heard or read, like you probably have, of some of his OCD things were to just over and over drill down on what the client wants, what's the client want, to the packaging. I mean, the little packaging on the inside of a box that housed the iPhone, he was unbelievably dialed into that. Had to be perfect. So that's being decisive. That's the 7th step on becoming a force multiplier in life. All these people we talked about fit right into the 8th category, which is passion. You have to be passionate about what you're going to be a force multiplier, and you cannot be casual. It just doesn't work that way. People that are force multipliers in life are passionate and usually have enough juice or energy or get up and go for many of us. And you know who I'm talking about, people like that you get around. They just amp you up and pick you up. And then we have those also. I don't like talking about this, but we're talking about being a force multiplier, but we've got people that are force subtractors that, 1 minus 1 is negative 15. And so stay away from people like that when you get around, they know every reason why it's never going to work and how you could never do it. And they can't I'm not even going to go there. So passion is the 8th step. And that goes without saying, do something you're passionate about. 9th is mentorship or coaching. There is zero chance that you can get anywhere in life, anywhere near being a force multiplier without mentors or coaches that are there and have done it. Every one of these people we talked about started off as a junior coach or assistant coach, or Nelson Mandela was a inmate in a prison, which is at the lowest of the low, and ended up changing the culture of a country with tens and dozens of millions of people. Martin Luther King was a simple preacher who ended up, we're still talking about some 50, 60 years later. So you have to have mentors and you have to have coaches. Very few, if any, I can't think of any examples of people who were born that way, never have been taught. I don't, it just doesn't come to mind. And then finally, adaptability, or how I like to talk about it. One of my core values in our businesses was embrace change. Adaptability is the ability to adapt on the fly to those absolutely going to happen challenges and issues that pop up every day, whether it's in your personal life, your business, your health, relationships, finances, whatever it is. Adaptability, the ability to embrace change and then to move forward and to still become a force multiplier, that is absolutely critical. Also, a lot of people, I think, the first time they have a curveball thrown at them, step back and say, I knew I couldn't do it. And that's it. And that's the end of it. We have to remember all those things about being resilient, having integrity. All those things come into play. Absolutely, problems are going to come. That's the only given we have in life. And so when they come, how do you respond to them? That's the key to being a force multiplier in life, is to not give up and to not back down and to adapt to change and say, okay, I thought it was going to be XYZ. It's not. This issue popped up. It's now going to be ABC. Bam, let's go. Let's get it and let's get after it. Here's our new system. This is what we do. This is what, I'm going to outline exact expectations, what that looks like. And this is what we're going to do moving forward. And then we're going to reevaluate that later today and tomorrow. And what will be adaptable tomorrow. We'll embrace change tomorrow, because that's the only given in life, is this going to change. So I hope this has helped a little bit. Again, this is a very important concept, I think, to becoming a force multiplier in life. We need to become a force multiplier. Again, you don't have to be 1 + 1 is 15 like these people, but 1 + 1 is 2.2. I mean, that's a 10% improvement on the energy you're getting in and giving out. And that's okay. That's fine. Just build on it and get better and better. So leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this. Go out and become a force multiplier in life. Surround yourself with people that are force multipliers in life, and life will be a lot better for you when you do. Again, share this with family and friends. Like us and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Music. And thank you so much for your time. Look forward to success until we